Well, the article we're looking at is called Seven Home Remedies Backed by Science That Actually Work.
Interesting. I'm always a little skeptical of those.
Me too, actually. Like peppermint oil for IBS. I always thought that was just for, freshening your breath.
Right. You wouldn't think it. We'll have to see what the research says.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so first up is something I think we can all relate to, especially this time of year. Coughs.
Oh, yeah. Coughs are the worst.
They are, especially those nighttime coughs that keep you up.
Totally.
Well, get this, honey. Apparently, it might actually be better than over-the-counter cough syrups.
Really?
Yeah, especially for those nighttime coughs.
Interesting. I do love honey.
Right. So apparently raw honey, because of its antibacterial properties and that thick texture, it can really soothe coughs.
Oh, so it coats the throat and kind of calms everything down.
Exactly. And there's research to back it up. It's particularly good at reducing nighttime coughing.
So you can actually get a good night's sleep. That's amazing.
I know, right? So instead of reaching for the cough syrup, maybe try a spoonful of honey before bed.
Worth a shot.
Okay, let's move on to something a little spicier. Ginger.
Ooh, I love ginger.
Me too. It's so good for so many things. But we're talking about upset stomachs today.
Right, ginger for nausea. That's a classic.
It is. But is there actually any science to support it?
You bet there is. Ginger has these compounds in it, gingerols and shogols.
Okay, those are some big words.
They are, but they're pretty powerful. They've been shown to really help with nausea and vomiting.
Wow, so it's not just an old wives' tale.
Nope, it's legit. And it doesn't matter what's causing the nausea either. Morning sickness, motion sickness, even chemo-induced nausea.
That's really good to know. So what's the best way to take it? Just sprinkle them in your food?
Well, that's a good way to get some ginger in your diet. So if you're really looking for relief, you're better off steeping fresh ginger in hot water.
Like ginger tea.
Exactly. Let it steep for about 10 minutes. That'll really do the trick.
Okay, I'll have to try that. And what about ginger supplements? Are those any good?
Yeah, those can be helpful too. The usual dose is around 250 milligrams, taken 4 times a day.
Good to know. All right, now for the one that really surprised me. Peppermint oil.
For nausea?
Not this time. For IBS.
Really? I always thought that was just for bad breath.
Me too. But apparently enteric-coated peppermint oil capsules can really help with IBS symptoms.
Fascinating. So how does that work?
Well, it's the menthol in peppermint oil. It relaxes the muscles in your digestive tract.
Ah, so it can help with cramping and pain?
Exactly. Pretty amazing, right?
It is. But why the enteric-coated capsules?
That's important because it makes sure the peppermint oil is released in the intestines where it's needed.
Oh, I see. So it doesn't get broken down in the stomach.
Exactly. It's targeted relief.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense.
All right, let's move on to a remedy I'm sure everyone's familiar with. Gargling with salt water for a sore throat.
Oh, yeah, my grandma used to swear by that.
Mine too. But does it actually work?
You know what? It really does. It's not just some old wives' tale.
So there's actual science behind it.
Absolutely. When you gargle with salt water, you're creating this high-sodium environment in your throat.
Okay.
And that draws fluid out of the inflamed tissues.
So it reduces swelling and discomfort.
Exactly. It can also help break down mucus and even get rid of some bacteria.
Wow, so it's like a triple whammy.
Pretty much. It's a simple remedy, but it's really effective.
And easy to do. So is there a specific salt-to-water ratio that works best?
Yeah, the general rule is about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of salt for 8 ounces of warm water.
Warm water, okay.
Right, warm water is key. It helps dissolve the salt and it's more soothing on your throat.
Makes sense. And how often should you goggle?
3 to 4 times a day is a good amount, especially when your sore throat is really bad.
Okay, good to know. Now, let's talk about something that's been getting a lot of buzz lately. Turmeric.
Oh yeah, turmeric's everywhere these days. Golden milk, turmeric lattes.
I know, right? It seems like it's in everything. But we're specifically talking about turmeric for inflammation today.
Right, because it's supposed to be this miracle worker, right?
That's what I've heard. But what does the science actually say?
Well, turmeric contains this compound called curcumin.
Curcumin.
Yeah, and it has some pretty powerful anti-inflammatory properties.
So just adding some turmeric to my food will help with inflammation.
It's a good start, but if you really want to see results, you're better off taking curcumin supplements.
Oh, interesting. So what's the deal with these supplements?
Well, here's a fun fact. Combining curcumin with black pepper actually makes it work even better.
Really? Black pepper? That's weird.
I know, it sounds strange, but black pepper contains piperine.
Okay.
And piperine can increase curcumin absorption by, get this, 2,000%.
Seriously. 2,000%.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So when you're choosing a curcumin supplement, make sure it has black pepper extract in it.
Okay, I'll definitely keep that in mind. So what's the recommended dose for curcumin supplements?
It's usually around 500 to 1,000 milligrams a day, taken with food.
Okay, so black pepper and food. Got it. But what about turmeric itself? Any side effects?
Turmeric is generally safe, but like anything, too much can be a bad thing. Some people might experience digestive issues if they eat a lot of it.
Okay, so moderation is key.
As with most things in life.
True that. All right, last but not least, let's talk about something we can all relate to needing, a mental boost.
Ah, yes, brain power.
I usually reach for a cup of coffee, but apparently green tea might be a better option.
Green tea, really?
Yeah, it contains this unique combo of L-theanine and caffeine.
L-theanine, what's that?
It's an amino acid that promotes relaxation and focus.
Interesting.
So you get the alertness from caffeine, but without the jitters you can get from coffee.
Because of the L-theanine.
Exactly. It creates a more balanced, focused energy boost. And there's research to back it up.
Seriously.
Yeah. Studies showed that this combo can actually improve attention, memory, and even reaction time.
Wow. And it reduces anxiety, too.
That's what they say. Sounds pretty good to me.
It does. I might have to ditch the coffee and switch to green tea.
Maybe we both should. So how much green tea are we talking about here?
2 to 3 cups a day seems to be the sweet spot. And make sure you steep it for the good 3 to 5 minutes.
Get all the good stuff out, right?
Exactly.
All right, now for the last remedy on our list, apple cider vinegar.
Oh, apple cider vinegar. It seems like that's good for everything, too.
It really does. But today we're talking about blood sugar control.
Okay, that's interesting. I've heard about that.
It's important to note, though, that it's not a substitute for diabetes medication.
Of course not.
But it can play a supporting role in regulating blood sugar levels, especially before meals that are high in carbs.
So how does it work?
Well, apple cider vinegar seems to improve insulin sensitivity, meaning your body can use glucose more effectively.
That makes sense.
There was even a small study that showed it improved insulin sensitivity by 19 to 34% in people with type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. But isn't apple cider vinegar bad for your teeth?
You've got to be careful, that's for sure. Undiluted apple cider vinegar can erode tooth enamel.
So always dilute it.
Absolutely, 1 to 2 tablespoons in a full glass of water before meals is a good rule of thumb.
Okay, good to know. So what are your thoughts so far? Anything really surprise you?
Honestly, I'm pretty amazed by how many of these remedies have science to back them up.
Me too. It's not just folklore. There's real evidence behind these remedies.
I know. Like the black pepper thing with turmeric. Who knew?
That one blew my mind. But we're just getting started. There's a lot more to unpack here.
Oh yeah, we've only scratched the surface. We'll dive even deeper in the next part, talking about potential side effects, dosage guidelines, and things you should consider before trying these remedies out.
It's going to be good. Don't miss it.
All right, welcome back to our exploration of home remedies backed by science. I'm ready to dive deeper into the specifics.
Yeah, me too. We talked about the basics, but there's always more to uncover.
Exactly. Like with the honey for coughs, we know raw honey is the best, but how much should you actually take?
A couple of teaspoons before bed seems to be a good amount.
Okay, just a couple of teaspoons? And can you take it straight, or do you have to mix it with something?
You can do either, straight off the spoon if you like, or mix it into some warm water or tea, kind of like a little bedtime ritual.
Oh, that sounds nice. Soothing. But what about kids? Is honey safe for them?
That's a great question. And it's really important to be careful with honey and infants. You should never give honey to a baby under 1 year old.
Really? Why is that?
Their digestive systems are still developing, and honey can contain bacteria that can be harmful to them. But for older kids and adults, it's generally safe and effective.
Good to know. Okay, let's move on to ginger. We talked about how it can help with nausea, but are there any situations where it's particularly helpful?
You know, a lot of people swear by ginger for motion sickness. If you tend to get queasy in cars, boats, or planes, ginger can be a real lifesaver.
Oh, that's interesting. So you could take it before a trip, and it would help prevent motion sickness.
Exactly. And it can be just as effective as some over-the-counter medications, but without the drowsiness.
That's amazing. I'm definitely going to try that next time I travel. Okay, let's talk more about peppermint oil for IBS. I'm still a little mind blown that peppermint oil can help with digestive issues.
I know, right? It seems so counterintuitive, but those enteric-coated capsules really can make a difference.
So it's not just for fresh breath.
Nope, not at all. The enteric coating is really important because it ensures that the oil is released in the intestines where it needs to be.
Right, so it doesn't get broken down in the stomach first.
Exactly. Targeted relief for those IBS symptoms.
Okay, that makes sense. And how much peppermint oil should you take?
Well, the dosage can vary depending on the strength of the capsules. It's always best to start with a low dose and see how you feel.
And check with your doctor, of course.
Absolutely. They can help you figure out the right dosage for you. All right, let's move on to saltwater gargles. I'm sure we've all done this at some point for a sore throat, but are there any tips for making it even more effective?
Ooh, good question. I always just kind of winged it.
Well, the temperature of the water actually matters. Warm water is best. It helps dissolve the salt, and it's more soothing on your throat.
Okay, warm water makes sense. And how much salt should you use?
The general rule is about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of salt per 8 ounces of water.
All right, not too salty. And how often did you gargle?
Aim for 3 to 4 times a day, especially when your sore throat is at its worst, and make sure each gargle lasts for about 30 seconds.
Got it. And don't swallow it, right?
Definitely not. Okay, let's talk turmeric. We talked about its anti-inflammatory properties, but are there any specific conditions where it might be particularly helpful?
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. Is it good for everything?
Well, it has shown some promise in addressing a wide range of inflammatory conditions, from arthritis to inflammatory bowel disease. There's even research looking into its potential role in cancer prevention.
Wow, that's amazing. But it's not a miracle cure, right?
Right. It's important to remember that turmeric is a spice, not a magic bullet. It can be a great addition to a healthy lifestyle, but it shouldn't replace conventional medical treatment.
Okay, good to know. So it's all about finding that balance, working with your doctor to figure out the best approach for you.
Exactly. And speaking of balance, let's circle back to green tea for a mental boost. Aside from that focused energy it provides, are there any other benefits we should be aware of?
Yeah, is it good for anything else besides helping you focus?
Green tea is actually packed with antioxidants.
Oh, right. Those are good for you.
They are. Antioxidants help protect our cells from damage, and I've been linked to a reduced risk of chronic diseases like heart disease, cancer, and even Alzheimer's.
Wow, so it's not just about feeling more alert, it's about promoting long-term health too.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
I might have to start drinking more green tea. All right, last but not least, let's revisit apple cider vinegar for blood sugar control. Any tips for incorporating it safely and effectively?
Moderation and dilution are key. Remember, undiluted apple cider vinegar can be tough on your tooth enamel. Always mix it with water before drinking it.
Okay, dilute it. And how much should you take?
1 to 2 tablespoons in a full glass of water before meals is a good starting point. And as with any new remedy, pay attention to how your body feels. If you experience any discomfort, cut back or stop using it.
Good advice. It's so important to listen to your body. This deeper dive into this specific has been really helpful.
It has, but we're not done yet. There's still more to talk about.
All right, welcome back for our final deep dive into these incredible home remedies.
I know, right? It's amazing what nature can do.
Seriously. But before we wrap things up, I think it's important to talk about some of the things people might be wondering about, like side effects, for example. Are there any common side effects associated with these remedies?
For the most part, they're pretty safe, especially if you use them as recommended.
Okay, good. But there's always a chance of something, right?
Yeah, everyone's body is different. Some people might be more sensitive than others. Like with honey, some people might experience a little bit of digestive upset.
Oh, okay, so nothing too serious.
Right, and ginger can interact with certain medications, like blood thinners, so it's always best to check with your doctor first.
Definitely. Always a good idea to talk to your doctor before trying something new.
Absolutely. Especially if you have any underlying health conditions or you're already taking medication, they can help you figure out what's safe for you.
Speaking of medications, are there any other interactions we should be aware of?
Well, like we said, ginger and blood thinners. And turmeric can also interact with certain medications.
Like what?
Blood thinners, diabetes medications, some antidepressants. It's always best to double check with your doctor or pharmacist just to be safe.
Right, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Exactly. Now, I know some people might still be skeptical about all this.
Yeah, I get that. It can be hard to believe that something so simple could actually work.
Totally, but think about it. A lot of these remedies have been used for centuries. They've stood the test of time, and now science is starting to catch up and provide evidence to support what people have known all along.
It's like this cool blend of ancient wisdom and modern science.
I love that. And while home remedies shouldn't replace conventional medicine, they can be a really powerful complement to a holistic approach to health.
I like that. So it's about having options, right?
Exactly. It's about having a diverse toolkit and knowing when and how to use each tool effectively. But the most important thing is to listen to your body
Always good advice.
and be mindful of what works for you. If something doesn't feel right, don't do it. And don't hesitate to reach out to your doctor if you have any questions or concerns.
That's a great point. It's all about being proactive and taking charge of your health.
Absolutely. It's a collaboration, really, between you, your doctor, and nature's incredible healing power.
Well said. This has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of home remedies.
I've learned so much.
Me too, and I hope our listeners have too. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the science behind these remedies to the potential benefits and risks.
It's been a great journal.
It has. And remember, this is just the beginning. There's always more to learn and explore.
Keep that curiosity alive.
Absolutely. Stay curious, stay informed, and never underestimate the power of nature to heal and support your well-being. Thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive.